Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, as I was joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, glad to be here.
Yep, and today we're talking about Pokemon TCG Live. That's right, Pokemon TCG Live is
Oh
obviously
no.
a really big thing in the Pokemon TCG. It's had some issues, right? But we're going to be taking a look at some updates here, which I haven't gone through entirely. I guess I've gone through, but we're going to take a look at them and analyze them and break them down because there is some, I think, positive things to take away from it and things that we need to talk about here. And you also want to read a letter which was released last month, and you had some, or not read, but say
Yeah.
a few things about, right?
Yeah, before we do this is a letter to the community dated July 10th. So when I mentioned it to you, you're like, well, that's forever ago. And I said, anyway, what's long or not, that's not the issue. But there are a couple points that I think will help fit in with what we're going to talk about with the newest letter, whatever you call it. First, the last one introduced the card decks, which was a big deal. I guess. I mean, honestly, to me, I don't really care about it. Do you care about it?
No, and I
By
haven't
the
really
way?
heard too many people talk about it. I mean, I know there was a Card Decks app, so this is replacing that or something, but I don't know. It seems fine. I mean, it's a collection viewer, right? So it's
Yeah.
useful. It's not an amazing just collection viewer, in my opinion. As far as I'm aware, I haven't used it too much, but I don't think you can sort too much. But it's good to have.
Yeah, I think it's more collecting focused. Although, look, it's good to be able to look at what cards you have without actually building a new deck. So I think that's a good thing. The change they did, which will probably tie into what we're talking about today with the newer thing too, they changed the booster packs to 10 card packs rather from 5 or 6 like they were for the most part. Celebrations was 4 and still is, but matching the IRL packs at least. I think generally international packs are 10 cards, so that's fine there. They made a change to the battle pass. They went to 100 tiers, and they increased the XP for daily quests. There's going to be more things that follow on that in the new letter. I assume you're fine with those changes that they made back then.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more as we dive in more here. But I'd say they're good changes. They're not amazing or super impactful, but they are generally positive.
Yeah, and the last point just to mention, which doesn't really tie into the newest announcement, but they don't talk about the ELO very often. We've talked about it offline, I think even in the podcast some, but they actually mention the ELO a little bit. That they're making improvements to the rank ladder matchmaking. I don't know if there's any matchmaking that goes on in casual. That's still a bit of a mystery there. But there's 2 ELO systems. They say the progressive ELO system that matches players from the Nest League to the Ultra League, right? While you're still moving up, and then a competitive ELO rating, they call it, for those players within Master League. So I don't know how they're different other than the players involved. It might just be the same logics applied. It's just different sets of players. I'm not sure, but there's 2 separate sets of players with quote different elo systems.
Yeah, and I believe the term ELO gets tossed around a lot, but I think there is an official ELO thing. There's a certain way it's supposed to work. There's a certain formula. I don't know if they're actually using that. But I
Right.
mean, it's good that they're caring about it a little. As you said, the casual matchmaking I think is important because especially in expanded where you can't play competitive, which I don't necessarily think is a huge issue. I know some people really want there to be a competitive expanded a ladder thing, but I think
Right.
you want to be able to play against people of similar skill levels. You don't need a competitive, a public competitive thing to do that, but you do need some form of matchmaking, which can be like a hidden elo, which I believe they had in Pokemon TCG online, the predecessor to Pokemon TCG Live, which I like that system. Regardless, you don't find consistent matches in expanded, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, and I guess they don't really address actually I don't believe they address expanded at all in the newest announcement. So obviously, could if there be a rank ladder? I think that would be a positive. The other thing, which is probably the bigger thing, is the lack of ability to play with friends, right? Either casually with friends. It also means then there can't be tournaments as well. So it'd be nice to be able to play a expanded match with someone of your choosing too. But anyway, that's not, I don't think, anywhere near on the horizon.
Yeah. But then moving on to the next thing, this is what it says. It's titled 2026 Competitive Season Changes and Improvements in Pokemon Trading Card Game Live, which is kind of weird, right? Because In
Yeah.
the wait, so are we gonna read this? I guess I'll read it. So, it says, "Hello, trainers." Oh, so first it says, "Quick summary," and these are the points we're gonna talk about: rank ladder reset compression, expanded battle pass, which is not expanded. That's where oh yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, and it says expanded. It's not expanded. I mean, it's like expanded as in it's bigger, but it's not expanded as an expanded format. And then
Yeah.
intentional quest design and double XP. So there's like that's like the battle pass stuff. And then it says, "Hello, trainers. Congratulations to everyone who competed in the last competitive season, and then the world champions. And we're honored to play a role in your training, and that is a responsibility we don't take lightly. Which honestly seems like it is meaningful, but definitely seems like not the most meaningful thing that Live does. I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely someone who, if you know me, I'm not really a competitive player. Right? I definitely care a lot more about the I'm not sure what the right word is, but like I was gonna say the breadth of the scene where it's something that's I want to it's something that can be for everyone, and live is something that's obviously more accessible than IRL because um it's cheaper slash free. And so anyways, then would also led to be getting more feedback through our community ambassador program, which I don't. Do you know what that is?
I think that's with certain content creators. I don't know what it means at all, though. But I think they've done something with certain content
Yeah.
creators.
Oh, is that where they got the people to say like, "Oh, live's awesome," and then they realized it was bad, and then they were sad.
Yeah, but then they went back to those same people, and now they said you're an ambassador, and now they're all in on it again. Probably, you
Yeah.
know how those things go.
Uh-huh. Anyways, and then community conversation springing up around that program. So apparently someone's been talking about it. Not sure who, because we don't know what it is. But comment down below on YouTube if you know what that is and if you have more idea, more info. But then we see you, we hear you. This is the letter. As I said, I haven't heard them or seen them. But then thank you for the community. And then as we head into the 2026 competitive season, we are making immediate intentional changes to improve the experience, blah blah blah. Right. So
Yeah,
mostly just filler there, but yeah.
I think there's something important there, which I want to talk about for a minute. In some ways, this could, in fact, I think the most important sentence might be in what you just read,
Hmm.
and as well as the title
Hello,
of
trainers.
this
Oh,
of the letter, right? They call it the 2026 competitive season changes and improvements to live. So there, they see a strong correlation between the competitive season and live, I think. And I've heard this other places in the past as well. And they talk about, that they have a role and a responsibility in preparing people for IRL play, both at major tournaments, I think, as well as like more local events. So they see, I think the Pokemon Company International sees live as a tool to prepare for IRL play rather than a digital game that's freestanding. I think that's how they view it. Although I would think most people that use the game are using it as a separate digital game, right? That they may or may not. They probably mostly do some interaction with IRL, but I think a lot of people are probably live predominantly.
yeah. And then also in terms of prepping for tournaments, live is it's certainly not perfect. It has its flaws. And any game will have its flaws, and it's not the IRL game, right? So I'd say something like there's a variety of different simulators. I'd say those are a lot more reflective of the actual Pokemon TCG. Not that there isn't value in prepping through the use of playing Pokemon TCG Live. I mean, it can be very useful, but same thing with those simulators, where I think those might even be, I don't know, better. I mean, they're a bit more versatile to kind of do what you're looking for. They're designed for the or some of them are designed for the tournament prepping experience versus this. This is a game, as you said. It's something that people play as a game, not just as a tool for something else. So, I hope, and also this kind of, you mentioned expanded, I mentioned expanded, and expanded isn't really something that, oh no, sorry, is not at all something that's done internationally in official tournaments, as far as
Yeah.
I'm aware. I know it's done in Japan a little bit, but that means that kind of implies that they're not, they don't really care about expanded, but that's kind of different than what they've done with like the trainer trials, which I say the trainer trials is the idea of creating something that reflects the a game in itself as opposed to correlation with the IRL scene. And then same thing with the collection viewer, right? The card decks or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd say those things both correlate with a better individual game as opposed to something uh, as a puzzle piece within a bigger picture.
Yeah, and I think as we walk through the letter more, I think there's a distinction in Pokemon's mind between the competitive player and the casual player. And I think they're focusing first and foremost on the competitive player. They want to get the game working well for them, and they do a few things for the casual player. We would I think both be fall into the casual player umbrella there with live. I think happily there, and I imagine most players are casual. So I think there's a little bit of disconnect with Pokemon and what live really is, and that may be negative impacting development. You know, a little bit with it,
Yeah.
what their goal is.
Mhm. Yeah, so obviously I kind of agree with that, but looking at the changes, I'd say most of the changes like reflect not what they've said, but like kind of what we want. Where I mean, it's like rank ladder stuff, but the rank ladder, if you're an IRL competitive player, you don't really care about the rank ladder. You could use it as a tool to improve, but you don't care about your rank, right? And then the battle pass, like you don't care about that. It's not like it's that hard to get the cards you need in
Right.
live, and you're not playing again for the battle pass. You're not playing it for the quests, right? I'd say those are more as I said, designed for like an actual individual gameplay experience.
Yeah, the rank ladder it maybe is a little bit trickier one, and that's the next first thing to talk about, right? So why don't we talk about those changes first?
Mhm.
Um, so I'll start reading through what they have, and we'll pause and talk. So rank ladder reset changes because they've made changes over multiple times with the rank ladder. We've heard loud and clear that the reset for each rank ladder is too harsh, causing experienced players a lot of pain if they work their way up from Quick League back to Master League. Because right now, what it did up to this point is everyone went down to 30 points. It was a hard reset, everyone to the same level. This was originally well intentioned to give players a chase and a challenge. We have since realized there are more sophisticated ways to do this. We also improved the implementation of our ranked ladder early this year, giving us greater flexibility. So I think that last sentence, the implementation of that's the programming kind of behind things, right? They said so they made changes with that, I guess, so they can make more updates in the future more easily, which is good there. So they know people are, I know from comments and stuff that a lot of people are unhappy with the reset. And a lot of it is people. There's a bunch of players, the ones that are more vocal, that feel that the only enjoyable games are once you get to Master League, playing against other people in Master League. Everyone else is just kind of the filler to get there. So they're like, why do I waste my time? Attitude, which I don't know, that's the best thing, but I think there's a lot of people that see things that way. So,
Yeah, I'd
so what
say
they,
with that, like, so I also agree that like I feel like it's too. I mean, I've there were times at which I'd grind to Master League, and it
yeah,
wasn't fun. I'm not gonna lie. So, but playing, you kind of want to play at your level, right? You want to play against people of
yeah,
the same level. And so the competitive elo within Master League should be pairing you against people of the same level. The progressive
yeah,
elo, I think, is just your rank or is the like number, which will keep going up. So then that's a number that's not reflecting your skill necessarily. I mean, it is somewhat, but then it's also just like it's kind of how much you grind. So then,
right,
you have a worse matchmaking experience. I definitely say I don't play as much live as I used to. But even like just in general, the matchmaking um isn't great. I was gonna say it's like not that great outside of Master League, honestly, because as I said, I haven't played too much in Master League. Honestly, getting there is a bit of a grind, which kind of feels not fun, right? It begins to feel
yeah,
frustrating. But anyways, the Master League experience, I also wasn't finding great matches. I'm not gonna lie. My opponents were like okay, they weren't drastically better. But anyways, I do like I get the idea of wanting to play against people of the same skill level. I feel like that should be like always true, and I don't think that's
yeah.
true in the before Master League.
Yeah, I mean, in one sense, because you could have like your ranking, and the elo system can be distinct from the ranking too. In some ways, that
Yeah.
could be better, right? Like like if you're at a rank but you're like losing 80% of your games, then you start to find easier matches, which could be good. And then of course it makes it easier to move up further. So it probably gets a little tricky, but some type of how you're doing with where you are in your rank might be a good thing to take in. But the details here, they're happy to report starting immediately with the July 2025 ranked ladder. Players now drop a maximum of 8 full ranks when a ladder turns over, as opposed to unilaterally returning to Quick League. The more compressed reset honors players that where they land on the ladder and reduces the amount of time expert players spend in the grind to Master League. So reducing 8 tiers, and there's four like sub levels to each tier, not counting Nest. I think Nest is like three, but that once you're out of Nest, I don't think you can ever get back there again. So Quick League, Poke League, Great League, and Ultra League each have 4 tiers. So if you're at Master League, you would fall to the bottom, I believe, of Great League. Then would be what it is. So you kind of fall to 2 leagues because each, like I said, it's 4 tiers per league. You fall or 8 ranks, so fall down 2 leagues, and that's not. I think that's a pretty good balance, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I think this will. I mean, I feel like grinding isn't fun, right? I mean, I don't know. I'd
Yeah.
say like grinding. If you're looking for a fun experience, as I said, I think the thing I like is playing against people of the same skill level. I think like most people would. I mean, there is something kind of fun about playing someone worse than you and just fun to win, right? But even if you want that, like not obviously not everyone can have that, because that's not how that's how it works. But I think I feel like they should just I don't know, it seems like they still want the grind. I mean, obviously they want people playing the game, and it can be fun just to like grind your level up, but also once you're in Master League, you'll only if it's working right, your elo will only improve if you're actually getting better, um, or not at the level in which you actually should be. So, um, anyways, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but I don't know if the grind is they still want the grind, so I don't know if that's good. But I think that they are making a good decision. As I said, I think the decisions they're making and the words they're using don't necessarily match each other, but I like the decisions they're making.
Yeah, and I think it's comparable to some other games. I know where you drop down some, but it's not a full reset. I think their idea, as I understood it originally, is they're trying to be fair to everyone, new players and experienced players. You have a brand new account. When the ladder resets, everyone's on equal footing. But yeah, I think that was probably a little silly. I think when you talk about the grind, I think what Pokemon was hoping for is moving up the rank ladder would be a journey as you're making progress, right? Because like that's kind
Journey
of like
together.
journey together, right? And well, you watch right the anime, and you're journeying with Ash as he moves up and stuff. So I think that was their idea. It's a journey as you progress, in the world of Pokemon. So every time it resets, you embark on a new journey, but then for a lot of people it's a grind instead, obviously, which is a negative thing.
Yeah, and the days of Ash are long gone, so that's in the past. But then it
Yes.
has this last sentence here: enjoy study season with the knowledge that your progress will go further towards future rank ladder rewards. Of course, players who skip a rank ladder will get reset twice and will eventually end up back in Quick League. Not
Yeah.
the last sentence, but the second to last sentence. What's study season? Wait.
That I think, and I skipped. I think that's from the previous letter. I think the next like month somewhere, like I think September primarily is study season because when people go back to school. So I think it's study season, and I suspect like the board in live because they now have these different themed boards and stuff. So I think there's going to be that, and maybe we'll get some deck cosmetics and stuff that go with some education setting. I think that's all it is.
Okay, I guess that's something. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. That's not really a Pokemon thing, but that's fine.
No, it's just they do that kind of stuff, right? So they're calling like that 30-day period study season. So you just ignore it, right? If you want to, that's what
Yeah.
what I'll do.
Yeah, just like they ignore the month that it's in because the ladders are mostly in the wrong month.
Yeah, well, it doesn't start with the month. Well, and they want to do it with set releases for the most part, but the set releases don't release on a regular schedule like at a certain point in the month anyway. So it's all a little weird there. but that's fine. So I think that's it for the rank ladder. They're reducing how much you drop, and that's a good thing. I think it'll be a positive all in all. I haven't been working the Master League either, so when it reset, I had played a few games in rank, but I was set back down to the bottom of a quick league. But that's fine. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
The next po- Right. So the next point here is the Battle Pass expansion is carried forward to Mega Evolution series, right? Because the Battle Pass expanded to 100 tiers with the last set because it was out for a longer time was part of it too. But they're doing that. They're continuing it forward. So many players noticed that there were changes to the trade credit values in the July release to help balance out the new 10 card booster. Sorry. So, right, 10 cards instead of five. They changed trade credits. They're going to address a failing there later on, which is good. But the amount of you get for dusting was changed. However, we also made a very intentional change to the battle pass, both longer and easier to progress through, which should yield better overall access to cards and trade credits over the lifetime of each expansion. This was done via a combination of game design changes. We increased the amount of XP awarded per quest, which they did do. We have three quests. At one point it was two, and the three quests we reward a higher amount of XP, and they increased the number of levels of the battle pass. We made each level within the battle pass more rewarding. I guess I don't really pay attention to exactly what you get on the levels. That they've made a lot of changes to that, so don't know there. So they're happy with the new engagement thus far, and we plan on keeping the 100 level battle pass design unless player behavior changes in a way that requires further adjustments. So, thoughts on that?
I don't know. What's this like player behavior changes in a way that requires further adjustment? There's some like, as I said, I don't know. I'm like kind of nitpicking at
Yeah,
this, but like, what is that? But I think it's good. Because the battle pass is something that's interesting, like kind of, you get stuff,
yeah,
and you work towards it. It gives you like a goal to reach, or the quests, I guess, which are pretty very heavily tied to the battle pass, are give you something kind of to do, to give you some guidance if you're like, oh, what do I want to play? It's like, oh, you can play this. I'm going to talk about the quest a little more in a second, but I think it's good.
yeah.
Having more content is generally always good. Assuming it's, so I think I'm going to record a video in Pocket after this. Assuming it's accessible, then, which it is here, then it's good. And I'll talk more about the quest as we reach that in just a moment. But yeah, I think it's solid. I don't think it's like a game changer, but I do think it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, and this to me gets into the grinding question too, which I'll but with the way it is with the battle pass, and they'll address this a little later on. But once you finish the battle pass, you get very little in-game rewards at that point. So going from what was it 75 I think it was up to 100 is good. Although they made it so it's easier to make progress, so perhaps you still have a lot of time when you finish. And we'll talk about some of it with the quests as well, because that all ties into it with those changes. But if you do all three quests a day, you will get to the top tier of the battle pass pretty quickly. So that's still a bit of an issue, but more levels is good. What I don't like in some games is you have to really put a lot of grind if to get to the battle pass in some games you have to really grind a lot of games, like you have to play like 10 games a day, like an hour plus every day consistently to get to the top of the battle pass. I don't want live to become that where you just have to grind a lot of games just to get a bunch of XP. So I like it, wanting people to play every day is good, but hopefully it doesn't become a battle pass where you have to really put a ton of time in, which we don't have it now with 100 levels. So I think it's at a very nice place right now.
Yeah, I'd also say, actually, no, I'm going to read the next paragraph here, then I'll
Yeah,
say my thoughts. But so it says Pokemon Digital Live is designed to provide a great competitive experience for our elite players, but we also want to provide a fun and accessible experience for those new to the game. Battle Pass is a key part of that accessibility. These recent July changes were our next attempts at improving the experience, and we're thrilled to see them working. There's still room for us to improve, and we're aware that it can be a bit anticlimactic when you complete one early, as you were talking about.
yeah,
This is something that's been planned to be addressed in the future, but with no concrete timing just yet. We'll include details in a future update once we have more to share. And so, I think it's useful for newer players. I'd say honestly, I don't think there's anything super valuable on the battle pass. I'm trying to think if there's like exclusive like cosmetics, but like cosmetics I feel like aren't that important. Honestly, I don't notice them at all when playing the game, except for like card arts, but those aren't exclusive. Though they've like done some stuff with card arts, but are we going to talk about those? I don't know.
We
But
will,
oh, it's later.
but yeah,
Okay, but
but
any.
but
Oh, sorry.
but the card arts are important though because the battle pass is the way to get those alternate arts right now
Mhm.
initially. So therefore, it's important. I mean, I don't think either of us care about the alternate arts too much, but if you do, the battle pass rewards is probably the biggest way to get them.
Yeah, I think the Battle Pass is in a solid spot though, where the actual rewards are like fine. They're not. I don't know. It could almost be a problem if they're too good, and then you like have to grind if you want to do them,
Yeah,
which isn't fun, right? I think I mean it can be fun to grind, but you can always grind. Like it's not like you have to like pay to play games or anything like that. So you can always grind if you want to grind, and if you don't want to grind, you should be able to like not grind as well and still be able to play the game. I feel like, and then. I think the battle pass does a decent job of that. And when you reach the top of it, it's like a little, again, it's a little anticlimactic, but also it's like you can still play the game. And if you don't want to play the game, then don't play the game. If you want to take a break, then that's fine. You can. I mean, as I said, I've been playing less, then I'm going to play more. And, it kind of comes in cycles. So playing the game if you want to play the game. The Battle Pass should be a fun extra addition on top of that, but it shouldn't be the driving factor behind the game, which I think Live's actually done a pretty good job of here.
yeah. Well, look, I mean, the battle pass is still the heart of the in-game economy. It's a generous economy, so you don't have to max out the battle pass to be okay. But obviously, if you don't make if you never made much progress in the battle pass, you're going to struggle building decks. So the battle pass is important there. Live is a very generous economy compared to other games still, so it makes it a little less important. The top tiers of the battle pass, which are kind of the ones the expanded ones too. What you're getting is a lot of
They
crates. You're
expanded?
getting. I'm sorry. With the
No, no.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The expanded battle pass, just the way Pokemon talks about it, right?
Yeah.
So the top like 10, 15 tiers are all you get a lot of crates, right? And that's where you get alternate art cards. So which is fine. Now I will say Pokemon does it bugs me. You probably think I'm going to be silly when I say this, but it bugs me that they're not good with their terminology because you're one company making one product. Be consistent. When you go in live, it has 100 tiers. If you open up live, it's tiers you progress through. Here in the letter or whatever they want to call it, it's 100 levels. Let's try to get on the same page because they have struggled with that from the very beginning. That they have seem to have different groups that are all on quite the same page at times. So just use one terminology. It's just a little better that way.
Yeah, I think it matters more as I've been messing with you about the expanded thing, and other things like
Yeah,
terminology does matter. I mean, with the game, right? Just in playing the game, terminology matters. But anyways, yeah. So then I think I'll read this next thing here. This is the last
yeah,
of the three topics. I guess most of the groups in the last one, but it says, as many of you have noticed, we've been getting more intentional about our quest design, and after receiving critical feedback earlier this year, in parentheses, Cassiopeia, yeah, anyone. Our intent is to keep the first two daily quests casual friendly, make the third daily quest a bit more challenging for players looking to push themselves. Um, we'll sometimes run double XP challenges in the third daily quest slot to help players who want to go further in the battle pass do so faster. And check out new double XP quests during study season. Oh, okay, from August 28th to
yeah,
September 25th, and complete those last few levels of our final Scarlet and Violet era battle pass. Because if you didn't know, it's ending. This is the last set, Black Bull and White Flare, the last Scarlet and Violet sets. And yeah, I think the quote intentionally designed quest, which is like kind of a weird term in my opinion. I feel like they
yeah.
should all be intentional. But anyways, they're the ones that are like play a certain type or play a certain card. I think so. If you're not familiar with Pokemon TCG Online's questing system, which again, PTCGO was the predecessor to Pokemon TCG Live. They were all type specific, and
Yeah.
it was bad. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't horrendous, but it was kind of messy. So because Uncommon Fossil, you never completed all of them, right? I don't think.
No, I think I didn't complete the
Fair,
fairy
yeah,
challenge because that was always problematic in PTCGO.
yeah. But anyways, they were like kind of fun. It would have been nice if there were some more general ones, and now Live has general ones and specific ones. Some of the specific ones like Cassiopeia and like Candace and a bunch of other ones, or some other ones, require you to play relatively niche cards, and those aren't so fun. I think the ones right now that are play a deck of with a certain type of Pokemon or something kind of like that are fine. I wouldn't say they're like, I don't know, this is casual um versus what was it? Challenging.
Challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I'd say like casual players will have just as easy of a job doing it as other people. But anyways, I think they're kind of fun. I think they're nice. They add a little more spice to the game, I guess. It's nothing crazy, but I do think it is a nice little change there. So
Yeah, I think this little wording thing kind of does show us into a bit of the mind of Pokemon. Is that they talk about casual players, they talk about these casual quests, they talk about new players. So that's all one group, I think, and then the other is competitive players, and they tie in these more challenging quests for them. Although the more competitive players, they don't want to mess around with these challenging quests, especially because that limits what they can play. So that's a bit
yeah,
odd there. I also think what's probably a little unfortunate is that you're either a new player or you're a competitive player. If you're a for fun player, that means you know what you're doing, but want to place a variety of decks, both good and weaker. They kind of don't see that as so important. So that part I think is a little unfortunate, but I guess that's kind of how it goes with most things. That type of player just has to find their place in the mix.
yeah.
So
I mean, I definitely think there are people like that, and also on the other side of things, there are people who are new. There aren't that many people who are new to the Pokemon TCG that are competitive, though I know a few people like
yeah,
that, or people where like they're not new anymore. Um, that's rare. But then someone who like plays, I mean, as I said, they want to make it for IRL players. So if you're an IRL player and you want to start testing on live, then you're going to be both a new player and a competitive player. And as you said, that's like kind of not how they see things.
yeah.
So it just can be kind of hard to acquire cards if you're new. I don't remember how bad it was. Actually, no, I didn't. Neither of us. Wait, you might have done it. I
I
did not
I
do it.
did it a couple months ago. I think before the last change to the economy, but it was still pretty similar. And honestly, within like a couple weeks, first off, you're playing a top deck, and within a month or two, within like a month, you can build multiple top tier decks. So which is just crazy generous for any of these collectible trading card games, I think, digitally.
Yeah.
So it's very good there. What I'll say with the quest structure, it's good in that with these three quests, you have two that are kind of more general. They call them casual friendly, but you can play a wide variety of decks. That's good. And I think you finish those two quests every day, you will get through the 100 tiers of the battle pass. At least most of the time. Now, sometimes the battle pass can be like a month short or something too, so that may be an issue. But most of the time, you'll finish it without a problem. And then you have the third one, which is a little bit more niche, and I think that's not a bad idea. I think you could ignore it if you want. You can do it if you really want to get to the top quickly, or if you're like live is like just its own fun experience for you, and you want to check off the different things in it. You have these more niche quests, and so I think it's kind of a nice place where they're at there.
Yeah, I think they've kind of also done you mentioned like the what's it, the board or whatever and stuff like that, and they've done some more
Yeah,
theming, which is kind of fun. I think it's just been okay so far. It's been pretty, I guess, gimmicky. I don't know exactly. I mean, it's
yeah,
Pokemon, and it's like, the gimmicky is like a bit of an unclear word to throw around, I guess, but also I feel like it could be cool. It's fun to add personality to the game. If it's done well, I think it's been done okay. I think they kind of did it at first with like the hexagons and stuff. They're like, yeah, this is our branding, and it's like, what? Why is it a bunch of hexagons? But
yeah.
I think I think they're figuring things out. They're figuring things out slowly, but they are figuring things out, which is nice.
Yeah, it's progressing. The pace isn't great, and obviously it started off pretty badly. So that's the frustrating. I do wish like the board and the visuals. I wish we could select our own backgrounds, right? That would be a nice thing. Most games you have some option like
Yeah,
that, I would say.
especially when historically some of the options would like lag your game. That was pretty bad. That hasn't been a while. That hasn't been a thing in a while, but that did happen.
Oh yeah, especially with the effects on top of the board and stuff. Yeah. And anyway, the XP, the quest, I think is in a good place. They could both agree there. Then we have these frequently asked questions, which are kind of additional, but I think these are big points as well. There's three different things. So the first one here is why didn't the trade credit changes get announced sooner? So this is when they went to 10 from 5 or 6 cards to pack to 10, they cut the trade credits the dusting value in half for cards, which that was not announced. So, and they say here we acknowledge that an important note. Announcing changes to trade credits was unintentionally omitted from the version 12.128 patch notes. We're actively evaluating our current tools and processes to ensure the key information is consistently identified and communicated, and we're committed to improving our internal workflows to prevent similar issues in the future. Remain dedicated to supporting our players with transparent and reliable updates and would like to thank the community for their continued support. So they acknowledge that they should have let people know that the dusting value was going to get reduced, because especially if you had a bunch of what is it, trainer points. I can't.
The
I'm
purple one.
terrible. The one that used to the one that you buy stuff in the shop with, right?
Yeah.
You probably should. You're gonna like buy celebrations packs in particular. You should have done that before the change took place. That was the best thing to do, but you didn't have any idea that that was coming. So they should have made that announcement. What especially because it was a negative, a nerfing of things impacts a lot of people. So they should have announced it, and they know that. Again, they just got to get better with stuff. I'm still, I think they still struggle internally with their planning and their organization, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's a mistake. I think it's just, I guess, an honest mistake. I mean, they make a lot of
Yeah.
those, which seems isn't so good. This isn't like horrendous. I mean, I don't know. It would have been kind of bad if it was intentional, which I think people kind of thought it was.
Yeah.
It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. And look, if you thought it was intentional, you don't have to believe what they say either that it was an accident, because we know not every person in the world is honest in every instance they speak
Yeah,
to, right?
except for
So,
me. Except for me.
except for you and your YouTube channel, right? 10 types, get the real truth there. So, anyway, so it's not big. Look, it's a good thing when people admit mistakes, though. So I think that part's a positive there. You
Yeah.
want to read the next FAQ?
Yeah, so it says what's coming next for the competitive experience. We hear that the current tuning on. Wait, what? I'm sorry, I just I
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice. Yeah, go ahead.
no. Anyway, so we hear that the current tuning on over number cards is not hitting everyone's hopes for the game. Well, we do believe that the initial restrictions honor the spirit of the chase seen in the physical game, increase the joy of the initial polls. We understand that 6 months can be a long time. There's probably a happy middle ground somewhere. We're actively reviewing our data, which I don't know what that is, but apparently we got some data to figure out the right path forward here, and further updates on this and other parts of the game will be shared in the coming weeks and months. And then we are working to deploy some server-side changes to improve match stability, which is good. These are complex changes, and we want to avoid disruption to major releases. So it's a lengthy process that has already been ongoing for several releases. Improving the stability of gameplay is very much a priority for us, and we're looking into it on a number of fronts over the next year. We feel strongly that improving match stability is a prerequisite for satisfying player requests for competitive features like leaderboards that rely on underlying match integrity. So this is kind of weird because I feel like it doesn't really relate to the question that was asked here, except for, I guess, that last sentence. But yeah, like I feel like the over-numbered cards doesn't really have to do with the competitive experience. I mean, I guess if you play the game more, you're more likely to be competitive, and you're more likely to want over-numbered cards. And if you're not familiar, you can't craft them. You can't craft the new ones for 6 months. And yeah, I feel like I don't know. I've heard some people ask for like more competitive stuff. I don't know. I haven't heard too many people. I know people were asking about that a lot when Live was first announced. But I feel like that's like gone down a lot. And then also
Well,
people were asking for like ranked matches, and they've done that. And then people haven't really, I haven't really heard good things about the ranked matches since it's came out. I've heard like and I've heard. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but I haven't really heard positive stuff. I've heard a little bit of negative and no positive. So I don't know if that's like something that really is super useful. Wait, did PCGO have that? A leaderboard? I think it
ranked.
did. No, competitive leaderboards. I think it
Oh, I
did.
think it did. I think it had something, yeah, on the Play Pokemon site,
Yeah, now
right?
that I think about it, which was like kind of random and weird. And then like you looked at it and it
Yeah.
was like a bunch of bots. So but anyways.
Yeah. Look, so first, talking the two bullet points under the competitive experience are very disjointed. So I think they probably should have made them separate if it questions there, but whatever. So first on the over-numbered cards, I think I get their idea. They wanted it to make the polls of the rare cards more meaningful. So this is the only way to get them right now initially. So therefore, they delayed it by 6 months. And that's fine. I think that they say they're going to look some middle ground. So I've seen some comments that let's make it 3 months, which is probably when you say looking for middle ground between 0 months and 6 months, 3 months seems like a pretty logical place.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what their criteria is. Like with Pocket, when they look at criteria and look at the data, I figure it's mostly how to make more money, right?
Yeah.
Here with Live, that's not the case. So I guess it's a matter of making people happy enough, right? I mean, they could just give all the cards out immediately and everyone will be happy about it. But so they at some point they want to, but so they don't want too many complaints, I think, is kind of their idea behind it. So anyway, I think reducing it is good. It'll happen, and I think that's fine. And this is the type of stuff they tweak on an ongoing basis, so not a big deal there. And you have access to the cards. Play in terms of playability, you have access to all the cards, just not the art. So I think that's not a big deal to myself. Now the second bullet point is a bit concerning in parts, and it's the bigger issue, right? In some ways,
Yeah.
this could be the biggest point of all, right? We're working to improve match stability. That's the biggest thing. And they say here they're complex changes they want to avoid disrupting the major releases. So they say it's a lengthy process that's already been going on for several releases. So in other words, they're going to keep making changes to priority, and they're going to keep working at it on a bunch of ways over the next year. And I would probably be inclined to put an S at the end. I don't know that the game is going to be all where we all want it to be within a year, but so changes are slow in coming, and that part I don't love.
Yeah, like I get that making a game is a lot of work, but also like there could be a lot of money going into this, and it should be working, right? They're saying like, oh, it's hard to get a game to work, and yeah, I mean it is, but also like your job is to make a game that like works. It's not like again, it is complicated, and I understand that, but it's not some high bar of something that's amazing. It's something that meets the requirements. Nothing like absurd here. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on, but like the game doesn't work, right? I mean, it like mostly works, but
Yeah.
it does have issues, and this is them admitting that the like these issues, match instability, is the game just not working, right? So, um,
Yes.
yeah, it's still not great. That it's not like, oh yeah, we'll get on that, we'll do it. It's like, no, okay, we're gonna talk about changing the rank ladder a little bit and the battle pass, which are fine enough, but then they like kind of toss in, oh, we're gonna like um try to increase the like make the game work better. And the point isn't even like that it works better. It's sandwiched in between oh, we might want to add match leaderboards, and this is the reason for doing it, for making the game
Yeah.
actually work, and then over numbered cards, which are it's almost like those are like just as important, and it's not like they're meaningless things, but like the game working is like it's the game, right? It's the game and it needs to work, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we play on the computer, which it just works better on anyway. I think for the amount of cards and all, it's better. But like if you play on your phone, I think if you're playing and then you're on Wi-Fi and you walk out of the range of that Wi-Fi, you disconnect your match and you can't reconnect. So, and I think that's been a known issue for since the beginning. And they just, that's like really big. You got to fix that immediately, right? So, stuff like that's not great. The idea that match stability is important for other competitive features like leaderboards. I think it's important. What lets us know that the leaderboard that they know there's a bunch of people still want leaderboards. I see comments on that. So
okay.
I think that is going to come. And they it seems to be implying in the sentence that it's going to come, but it's not going to come till they fix it, which means and they said it's going to take the next year at least to get it
Yeah.
fixed. So no leaderboard for the next year. I also think it ties into the whole expanded thing in terms of probably friend matches, because friend matches can lead to like online tournaments through Limitless, and they just have to be. They don't want to have those tournaments be a disaster. And also the rank ladder. I think they don't want to do expanded until they have expanded working well too. So to get the full those other features, that maybe they'll add the other cards in, but that's just going to add more instability too. So I think expanded is going to be what it is until they get the rest of the game sorted out.
Yeah. Which is, it is what it is. Again, there's more important things. The game itself working in standard is more important than it working in expanded. Um, I don't know how much work it would be to get expanded kind of working, working at like an okay level, like the all the expanded cards as well as friend
Yeah.
matches. Because I mean expanded, I feel like it like works all right. And I feel like the
Yeah.
issues that are with expanded are like I don't know, I was gonna say like they shouldn't be there, they should be easy to fix, but I mean clearly they're not for for
Right.
live.
Yeah, they struggle to fix standard. I honestly, what they should do is like give a day or a week and say, you can play full expanded for this week, and then we can probably will just see that it's so bad, right? Everyone's going to shut up and asking for it because you realize you can't complete a game, right? And
Yeah.
such, and let people play friends matches and try to actually run a limitless tournament and find out that it's a disaster. So people will quiet down. But I guess it makes sense they can't do that. So.
Yeah.
Um, but that it's important the improvement's going to be slow, so I guess it just we got to live with it, right? I guess that's the unfortunate situation there.
Yeah.
And I think that last idea of the stability goes into this last point. So I'll read this one off because I'm the one that talks about this more than you anyway. What's not coming next for the game economy? And here's their response. We know that there have been rumors that some recent changes are reflective of pending monetization of in-game features. Pokemon TCG Live remains free to play. There are no plans to add the ability to make real money purchases in the game at this time. The changes we are making are tied to our desire to make the game function better from a design perspective and to rebalance the economy in a way that makes it possible for us to give more packs out to players more regularly throughout the gameplay. Now, look, it's all digital stuff. They can give out as many packs as they want whenever they want, and it really doesn't matter to them, right? So it's a bit odd in one sense, right? It's not like, oh no, if we can't give out that many packs all at once, right? But that is what it is. So, are they going to monetize? What do you think there? Do you think? I think with what's said here, and we could break down a little bit, is they're not monetizing now. I still think it's open the possibility that they're going to monetize once the game quote gets fixed.
Yeah, I think that what I'm reading here is that the game being fixed isn't on the horizon, and so it doesn't really matter if they what their thoughts are
Yeah,
because it's going to be so far out that um, it doesn't really matter anyways. So yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're sticking to not monetizing it. I think monetizing it when it doesn't work is bad. I mean, again, it doesn't like completely not work, and if they did monetize it, I do see where they're coming from. Both in terms of making money, obviously, just wanting to make money is that makes sense, but then also money that they make can be money put into it. But yeah, I think it's not time for that yet. I think if they decide to monetize it that can be like okay, and it does make sense if it like starts to work. Then there is something to pay for, and they can justify it, right? Because right now I don't think they can
yeah,
justify it super well. Um, Obviously I don't want them to monetize it unless it will like make the game a lot better, and the monetization is relatively minimal. I guess if the game is a lot better, but it's kind of expensive I don't know where I stand on that, right? I think pockets like that, right? That shows the other side of things where the
yeah,
game is expensive, and it's hurting the game, but the game itself plays well, and there's a lot of resources being put into it. Um, Ultimately, I like Pokemon. I want as many people to play the Pokemon TCG as they can, and I want them to be able to enjoy it. And there's a balance to find there. I think the balance shouldn't be that hard to find. I think they can make a good game by putting more money in and then not making the game monetized. Um, but they aren't doing that. So, but I don't really want to see it monetized still. I still stand by that. But I think if they can make it a lot better, then it could be monetized, but not just like work, but something really, really special, which I don't think is very close to, right? I don't think they've really shown signs to make it a special game, um, or a special experience, right? I don't think like PCGO, which people kind of talk about in a really positive light because it does a lot of things that Live doesn't do, was not a special game. It was like okay. And then Live, even like the good stuff about Live is just okay, like the battle log and the card decks viewer thing
yeah.
and the different formats and stuff. They're okay, but it's not like amazing. I think there's a lot of steps to take before they get there. I'd say it would be at least 5 years out to reach a point where I think monetization would be where I'd be like, yeah, that's a good it's a game worth putting money into for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way the word it's phrased is it could be that they don't plan on ever monetizing the game, or it could be that they just can't monetize now till the game's better. I think either's possible. I think if the idea of monetizing 5 years, like 5 years from now, they, they might not. They're probably going to redesign live from the ground up within 10 years from now. I think, I just think it's problematic. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Yeah, if they monetize first, yeah, it needs to have be a better game. And it needs to not be pay to win, which is always a tricky dynamic. So if they start to monetize, it's a concern, right? Definitely free to play is preferred. You can have some monetization, especially if it's more cosmetic in nature, which some companies do that and actually and make money off that. That's not a bad thing. The other thing is, does it add more features? Like, I know it gets real expensive, so I'm not going to say Magic the Gathering Arena has it sorted out, but there's a lot of game modes in that. There's actually too many in that. Like the
Marriage trials.
trainers trials are good, but they're a little weird and it's not quite sorted out, But if we had multiple, probably 4 or 5 fully formed formats we could choose from, we also need enough players to make them all viable and happening. That would be a good thing. And if money was necessary to have that, I could see it as being worthwhile. But otherwise, if it's just going to be a bare bones way to test IRL, then monetizing it is something that hopefully never happens.
Yeah, and also they talked about like the competitive like integrity and stuff, and like
Yeah.
monetization can hurt that. Um, you can
Yes.
see that. I don't know. I mean, you can kind of see it in different places. So like it's kind of hard again to balance, and they might be able to find the balance. I am not confident that they'll find the balance. I'm not gonna lie. But live is it's a playable game. We kind of bashed it some. It's a game that's all right for playing the Pokemon TCG. It's arguably the best option. There's like
Yeah.
simulators. Simulators are kind of sketchy. IRL, but IRL is obviously very expensive.
Yeah.
And also you have like more limitations there with like playing with people in person and stuff, right? So, live is what it is. Hopefully, it'll be more than it is now. And it looks like they are trying to improve it, but also it does feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between um, TBCI, who's making it, and the players a little. I'm not sure. It's a little weird. Obviously, everyone has their different opinions. But I don't know. I'm obviously interested in hearing down below in the comment section what everyone's thoughts are on this.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, live has improved a lot over the years. It's pretty stable. I know there's some issues, but from our experience, it's pretty stable. And I think from most people, it is. So it needs to get better, but it's not. Yeah, it's not all singing praises for live. But this for a major announcement, this is like the most positive, all around announcement I think that we might have ever had regarding live.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a good thing, right? This announcement isn't anything spectacular. It's like, oh, well, we're gonna like make some changes, and we kind of understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of try to do it, and at some point the game might work, at a competent level. So that's not like that good, but yeah, I think it's a good direction here. But anyways, as I said, leave down below in the comment section your thoughts on this. If you think this is good, if you think it's bad, if you think it's neutral, and all that stuff, and make sure you leave it down below on YouTube at the YouTube channel's 10 Types or in Common Fossil. If you have a specific person you want to ask, then make sure you leave it there. Otherwise, just whichever one you feel like, but not on podcasting platforms if you're listening there, because we unfortunately cannot see it because of the way it's set up. But you can listen to us there if you want, if that's more convenient for you. We hope you enjoyed, and as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.